Alright everyone, welcome back to Street City Studio. I'm John, and in this video we're kind of going to talk a little bit. I had some things I wanted to address, I suppose. Yesterday I didn't make a video. If you follow enough you probably noticed, or maybe you didn't. Either way, I didn't make a video yesterday, and I almost didn't make one today. I suppose I've been looking for, something to talk about, and I don't know, sometimes the well runs dry. Sometimes you just feel more motivated and inspired, and sometimes you feel a little less motivated and inspired, right? And I guess I thought, why not make a video addressing that, right? Talking about that, and bring it to you guys and my viewers and talk to you about it, right? Because I'm still a very small channel, and I'm well aware of my position and things, right? I don't have a lot of followers. I'm well aware I'm not the most amazing photographer. I don't have the largest collection. But I suppose I'm not really aiming for any of those things either, right? I'm just aiming to have a little fun, and, just like my last video, I had an idea that I wanted to get a picture of myself, my figure, right, in a cowboy-style showdown, right, a Wild West style photo with my figure, right? And a lot of times that's what these videos are, right? It'll be something that I just felt the urge to do, right? I have a figure of myself, and this is what I do with it, right? You guys can watch me play with my toy, and it's not just me, right? Any figures, and that's kind of what I wanted to address today, right? We've been talking a lot and looking a lot at my Marvel figures, my Marvel Universe figures, and I do have a sizable Marvel Universe collection. I don't want to say it's the largest, because I'm sure some of my viewers even have larger collections than I do, more complete. I'm not really a completionist, right? And I feel like I've said that a lot, but it's very true. I'll be happy to skip a figure if it's not catching my eye, right? I'm not motivated to finish any toy line just because I feel an urge to complete that line. Right, now I may chase every figure if it's a good figure, right? Like the vintage collection in Star Wars vintage collection, right? I don't want to say, again, I'm not a completionist, but sometimes it definitely feels like, right, I end up picking up every single figure, and that's definitely not the case. It's not. I'm just saying sometimes it feels like it on my end. But there are so many figures that I'm happy to skip, right? Like that Sabine Wren with the extra large bucket helmet, right? I'm not getting that. Now, I know there's a new one coming up the pipeline, or maybe it's already hitting shelves somewhere, I don't know. But I might get that one eventually, right? But there are lines that I do complete more than others, right? Like the Jurassic Park lines that they're doing. I am not chasing. He's gonna go stall. There we go. I'm not chasing all of the dinosaurs at all, by any means, right? And even the human figures, right? I don't have any of the Camp Cretaceous kids from the cartoons, even though I did watch it and I did like it. I don't feel that they necessarily blend with the other figures very well because of the style differences and stuff, right? These are live action based figures and look very much like they're based on live action. And when you get good close-ups and stuff, right, they look like a live action movie. I feel like I'm directing tiny little actors, right? Sometimes little mannequin actors, but they look like people. They don't, right? That's what I like about them. They don't look cartoony. And so those Camp Cretaceous kids, while I'm a fan of the cartoon and the characters, right, I do want a Bumpy, actually. I really would like a green Bumpy there, right? Probably the baby one and the adult one, but I don't have any because I didn't chase them, you know? I didn't really go looking for them because they weren't high priority, right? So some lines I definitely chase harder than others, but not. I'm not a completionist on any line, right? But I think I kind of just wanted to address some of these lines to say, you know, if you have any interest, we've been talking a lot about the Marvel Universe figures lately, right? But mostly just because that's what gets the views, I think. When I started, again, when we started the channel, it was very heavy on Star Wars, and I feel like we've gotten pretty far away from that, right? It was mostly Star Wars figures with some Jurassic Park dinosaurs, right? Because I'm a big fan of these dinosaur figures. I know a lot of people, right? A lot of people don't like these raptors, right? They don't like the teeth and the feet, right? The little hands, whatever. They get 3D printed replacements and stuff. I have 3D printers. I don't do it very, you know, I'm not printing daily. I'm definitely not. But I'm no slouch either, right? I 3D printed, I 3D scanned and printed my own head, right? By myself. Right? This head is my face. I scanned it. I printed it. I painted it, right? But my whole point there is that I like these dinosaurs enough not to even replace their hands and feet and stuff, right? Because I feel like at that point you don't like the figure, right? You might as well just make your own figure if you're replacing all the parts of it. And that's not meant to slam anybody. If you guys, right, these feet are big. I'm not questioning that, right? They don't look as good as those printed ones. I'm not saying they do, right? But I like this figure, right? I'm not about to dump 50 more bucks into each of these dinosaurs to make them better. I like them well enough as is, right? Some of them I like better than others, but now again, you go up in price, you're going to get a better quality, no doubt. But I don't really need them much better than this, right? That's my point, I think. Right? I like them well enough, right? And especially some of these bigger dinosaurs, man. I don't know if you followed me well enough to know, but I am a big fan of the big dinosaurs. Right? Let's see if I can get him in here. There's no ground room here, though. Let's see. Get these guys out of here quick and simple. Whoosh, whoosh. Oh, that's why I go slow usually. But I'm in here. Right? I am a big fan of these toys here, and they don't get nearly enough screen time just because they're harder to work with and whatnot. Right? They're harder to create some sort of scene with. Alright? And I tend to keep it real simple here. But I think the whole point of this video is to kind of remind everybody that this isn't just a Marvel channel, right? Remind myself that this isn't just a Marvel channel. Right? And I'm a big fan of the Marvel Universe figures, and I definitely am excited about, you know, the Marvel Epic Heroes lines that's coming out lately. They're not quite as good as the Marvel Universe, but it's a step in the right direction, right? Better some cheap figures than no figures at all, in my opinion, right? And likewise, I don't necessarily need $100 figure for every character. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer in that high quality where it's needed, right? I'm trying to think of other good examples, but I'm struggling, right? But when I have a need that the companies, the big companies, the toy companies aren't meeting, right? Like the situation with my need for Hulk, my need for better Hulk figures, right? And so I've taken it upon myself to make several Hulk figures for myself and my photography, right? But I never felt like many of these dinosaurs were lacking to that degree, right? I can get some pictures out of these dinosaurs, right? I like the look of them. Could they be better? Yeah. But, I mean, I think the same could be said for most of my photography, right? Could it be better? I mean, yeah, but I'm not exactly aiming to win awards here either. I'm just trying to have some fun with my toys, right? As opposed to letting them sit on the shelf collecting dust, right? I tend to keep my hands on my toys often, right? I pull them out and go through them and repose them a lot. And I thought, well, let's turn that into something. I don't have to do that, right, by myself, right? I can play with these toys and talk to you guys as a community, I guess. And so what the whole point of this video and this discussion kind of is, what do you guys want to see from me, right? I don't want to just keep coming back to Marvel as a crutch, right? But I also do want, if you guys want to see my Marvel figures, I'm definitely going to make sure to have Marvel figure videos and Marvel figure photography. But I think what I'm asking too is, you know, is there still enough interest in the Star Wars? Because it definitely seems like some of these other franchise videos, if I make a video about Jurassic Park figures, it doesn't get as many hits. Like it'll you know, Star Wars video, right? And I shouldn't say that, right? If it's a Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader specifically in the title, it seems like it'll get some hits, right? But if it's just something I want to do, I feel like maybe it's not going to get those hits, right? And so that's what I'm posing to you guys, right? What characters do you want to see from my shelf more, right? Because I tend to stick in this little bubble of my favorite characters or whatever, right? And focus on them. I don't want to, like we did almost a week of Hulk videos, right? And here he is popping up again. Let's get him out of here. I love that figure. I love it. Especially considering I made it from other figure parts and paint and all that, right? It's not just a figure I bought off the shelf, but I've put a lot of thought and work into that figure. So I definitely favor giving these figures certain figures screen time. And obviously you guys would have favorites as well, right? For a good example was my Hulk. During my Hulk week, I did a bunch of photos with Hulk versus people, and never once did I stop and think to throw a Hulkbuster shot in there, right? That just seems, I don't know, done to death, I suppose. I felt like maybe nobody wants to see that, so it wouldn't have even crossed my mind, right? Everybody, that's the fight you see the most, right? I want to see fights you don't get to see as often, I suppose, right? Here's a good example, right? Good example. I know I said I was getting rid of him. I'm sorry. He's not taking up much screen, though. Right? But a fight I was always curious about was Hulk versus Apocalypse, right? How would that fight go? How cool would that fight be, right? Because Apocalypse can really dish it out, but Hulk can take all that, right? I think that'd be very interesting if written well enough, right? But it could also be written very poorly, I'm sure, too. But right? Those are the kinds of matchups and ideas. I know I just proposed that idea, but my point is, I might not think of a certain fight. If you guys see some figures in my videos, maybe run through my shorts and see what figures I have on the shelf, what characters you might like to see more of. I don't know. I got so many figures, right? So many Star Wars figures, so many Marvel figures. And so I feel like it's easy to forget some of them, right? Like a good example, let me pull him out of here. Really good example is one of my probably top 20 figures maybe, is this Silver Samurai figure here. But I've hardly touched him in any videos. I've done like one little photo shoot with him, right? And so I'll probably try and get to that soon, right? But I don't know how many of you are specifically into a Silver Samurai photo, right? And so if you have any thoughts, feel free. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm inviting you guys to give me some more feedback. I could really use it. And that's maybe my lacking in motivation and inspiration. But if you think of anything, please feel free. I am all ears, and I am very receptive to feedback. And right? I mean, now don't come in here and tell me, well, you don't edit your videos very much. And I know I don't, and that's not going to change really, probably. I'm not a video editor, right? Just like my photography, right? I'm not necessarily going to start adding a bunch of special effects and lasers and, a lot of stands. I don't use stands, so you have guys floating and flying, getting blasted and flying through the air. I don't do a lot of all that stuff. And that's probably not going to change. But that doesn't mean that we can't still have some fun, right? Because we have been so far. And I'm probably going to do more of the same, but I don't want to just, right, keep going blindly, I guess, aimlessly. Right? Love some feedback. Love some thoughts and suggestions. Healthy criticism, right? That's always welcome. Obviously, I don't come in there just saying, well, your photography's trash or your collection's trash. I'm not going to respond to that probably at all. But, definitely not appreciatively, right? But if you want to see certain fights, certain matchups, certain crossovers, I don't do a lot of the crossover-y stuff, right? I don't think to, because, right, like for example, this figure has a kind of cartoony appearance to it, right? It's not bad looking, right? Kind of cartoony, but then you get like these Jurassic Park figures, and even my own figure, right, look a little more photorealistic, right? And so they don't necessarily, in my opinion, always mash up well, right? But I know that there's probably a good base of fans, right, that like mashups and stuff. So I wouldn't mind doing a fight of, right, Batman versus Darth Vader or something, right? But I just maybe haven't thought to on my own, because I don't, like I said, I don't think to do a lot of crossover stuff. So I guess I'm just, asking for some feedback, asking for some input, whatever you guys have to offer, I'm all ears. I appreciate it. But I don't want to make a lot of videos that feel like I'm going over the same ground for no reason. I don't want to go, right? I don't want to, just because I put my hands on my Hulk figure this morning doesn't mean I'm necessarily gonna make a video all about Hulk figure, and if I kind of just go with I'm on a whim, right? Again, I might end up making too many Hulk videos, right? Too many Wolverine videos, or, right? Like this morning, I'm still wearing the cowboy hat and a cowboy gun, right? Could end up doing 10 different shootout shots. But I don't want to do 10 different shootout shots if you guys don't dig that. If you guys aren't feeling that, right? I don't want to end up down a misguided rabbit hole there, It just helps to know what you guys like, what you guys want to see, what you guys like to see, what you guys appreciate. But I think that's the gist of it. That's the whole kit and caboodle, right? Anything else I say, I'm just kind of spinning yarn and going in circles, I guess. But on that note, I'll wrap it up. If you guys want to check me out on Facebook, you can follow me over on Facebook at John Wayna, Wayna. Do me a favor and just make sure you follow the toy guy and not my dad. He's also John Wayna, but he's not very interested in no toy stuff, so... but also, if you want to check out my toy photography on Instagram, you can check me out on Instagram at Street City Toys. Not Street City Studio like the channel, but Street City Toys on Instagram. If you don't want to remember that, it's probably down in the description of all of my videos, or most of my videos. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Appreciate your feedback. Keep playing with them toys, and I'll talk to you again real soon.